Welcome to the interval. We're going to start calling it the interval. Shorthand for the devoted fans. I'm Lance Ash, and this is Bonnie Ash.
Hello.
And heading back to work after a 3-day weekend, which was one of the best weekends I've had in I don't know how long. I felt alert and on task, and it's fantastic. Got a painting done, and just all kinds of stuff got done. What did you get done this weekend, Bonnie?
I made a set of curtains. I finished lining another set of curtains. I worked on painting the laundry room some more. I made a wreath. I potted some plants. I cleaned a bit. Oh, I made lemon blueberry cake. And we had our daughter come by for a visit. And I got some real sleep.
Yeah, before I left Thursday morning from work, they told us that I could start coming in an hour early again. So we're heading back to work an hour early. You know, when they started this shit about no overtime, everyone assured me, and I said too, it won't last but a week or two. And sure enough, it only lasted 2 weeks. So I sort of got used to the coming in at the regular time, but I'll quickly get back in the groove of coming in an hour early. And look how green the grass is over there. Sorry. And I'm wired right now. I had a lot of tea. So I'm a little worried about that. So sometimes I get worried when I get too hyped up. But it'll go away in an hour or two. When I get to work, I'll be racing around for 3 solid hours. Something's in my throat. So we really have to start coming up with a theme for each episode in advance. Something very simple. It doesn't really matter what it is. But I'll tell you just a theme to get an inroad into conversation, discussion. I get an idea though. You said you made blueberry lemon cake.
Yes, you made some.
Yeah, but I'm saying related to that. The inspiration was I saw a picture on some ad at work for some bakery sends you products in the mail, and it was for something called blueberry cream cheese povatisa, and it's a Eastern European, Croatian specifically, specialty baked good. It's a type of bread that's rolled. The dough is spread out really big, like over a tabletop, and then you add whatever you're going to add, blueberries or cinnamon or whatever, and then you roll it up, and then you bend it into like a
intestines.
Yeah, sort of like a W shape or whatever, and then you cram it into the baking pan or whatever it is, and then when you cut it, it's got all these swirls in it. So
babkas.
Do what now?
More than the babkas have in them.
Yeah. So anyway, that was inspiration for that. Bonnie has become quite a good baker over the years. When the first Christmas after we got married, Bonnie's parents gave us a bread maker, and that was sort of like the beginning of all that, I guess.
Yes.
And you've learned all kinds of things over the years.
Oh yeah. Just experiment, that's all. But more than that, you get a feel for it after a while. You know when a dough is right or when a mix of batter is right. And I've learned to make my own soups. I get inspiration for something. I go looking around and find out different things that people put into it. I adapted for our vegetarian taste, sometimes vegan, because I'm becoming more sensitive to dairy products the older I get. And like that chickpea stew that I make, it was inspired by Rick Steen's Mediterranean series. And I said, I've got to try something Moroccan. And I went and I found out what kind of spices were used in Moroccan dishes. And I looked at the Mediterranean cuisine that had been used on the show. A variety of things like lemons and different types of spices and capers and such. And it just came together. I experimented and I have probably 8 or 10 spices that go in that stew. And then I adapted a yogurt sauce from India to go along with it, and it balances out beautifully.
Well, you said you've developed a feel for baking. It's kind of like how I've developed a feel for when the ramen is done.
Whereas I time my ramen. I'm picky about my noodles. I want them to be done, not al dente, but to perfection. I
use a fork and I'll pick the ramen up out of the water again and again until it feels right, bending on the fork, shaking it back and forth. That's when I know it's done.
See, I'm that way about bread dough. I know how it feels under my hands. I know how a cake batter feels. Like those blueberry muffins I made you. Oh, I didn't pack any for you. Sorry. Yes, you will. The blueberry muffins I make, it's a basic muffin mix. And I can add anything to it you want. And my default has become blueberry, because everybody eats blueberry, whereas you don't eat the chocolate ones. And it's like a really thick paint almost. And bread has a certain give to your hands. The way it stretches and folds, and the amount of stickiness has to be just so. Yeah, you get a feel for things after a while, like you and your painting.
Yeah, that's true. You develop a feel, especially being self-taught. You develop a feel for painting. But yeah, I don't really like chocolate unless it's chocolate ice cream or chocolate. Sometimes chocolate candies.
You had ice cream this weekend.
Yeah, Bonnie bought some Breyer's peach ice cream, and I'll tell you, if you dust the top of the ice cream, any ice cream really, with wheat germ, it's really good. It's really great. I don't understand putting candy sprinkles on top of your ice cream.
Next time you recommended the blueberries over it.
Blueberry sauce. Blueberry cooked down into a sauce, yeah.
Of course, that made me think of the blueberry martinis that Reed and I make, where it's blueberries and a simple syrup, sugar syrup with lemon juice, and mix that in for us vodka martinis. Oh my God, ever crushed ice is to die for.
When I was, 17 or so, there used to be a Baskin & Robbins there on the corner in the Beechwood Shopping Center. And to get a great big waffle cone with 2 or 3 scoops of ice cream in it was fantastic. There's so much...
Brown sugar cone. The brown sugar cone.
Is that like a regular pointy cone with the sort of crunchy...
Brown sugar. Brown cones. Yeah, it's just delicious.
Those are good too. But those old-fashioned... what the hell is that? Like cereal...
It's just...
No, well, yeah, sort of. The brand is called Eat It All. It's got a square bottom and it's crunchy as hell.
Oh, you mean the old-fashioned ones?
Right.
That are, ew, I hate those. They're like styrofoam.
They are. They're horrible.
Oh,
the old waffle cones at Baskin Robbins, they would put a marshmallow in the bottom because there was a hole at the very bottom. They couldn't quite, make. Yeah. So if the ice cream melts and it won't drip into your hand, it drips. And at the very end, when I first discovered that, I'm like, oh, how clever! They used a marshmallow as a cork at the bottom of the cone. Oh, well, that's great. Like an extra treat.
Now, did you ever get in the habit of going over to Hudson's Pharmacy and getting their quarter ice creams?
No, you're the one who introduced me to that.
Yeah.
That's an old-fashioned, old-timey drugstore.
Of course, now they're over $1, so they may even be up to $2.
that pharmacy that that Mitch's sister works at is like an old-fashioned family-run pharmacy.
Yeah, it is. It's they actually prepare things there. They grind, and there's a certain type of name for that type of pharmacy. They mix things. The compounding pharmacy is what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
That's where she works.
Well, I tell you, we don't really have a TV anymore. We watch stuff on the computer, and our main computer is just off the kitchen. So it's right in the area of traffic through the house, and that's where Bonnie watches all her little detective shows. And yeah, that was mentioned on Saturday Night Live last night.
Yeah.
But so I'll pass through the kitchen, and she's watching something, and most of the time I'm like, ugh, what dreck, it is beneath me. But sometimes I'll get suckered in. So she's been watching the UK version of Law and Order.
You and I used to watch the normal Law and Order back in the
That's right,
90s,
yeah.
early 2000s when the kids
with Lee Sorvino, and that's when Paul Sorvino, what am I saying? Lee Trevino was a golfer. Anyway, Jerry Orbach was the best on that show. Sam Waterston was on there, and Mr. Michael Moriarty was the real highfalutin, I am on the side of righteousness DA. But anyway, so she was watching this thing, and I'm passing through the kitchen over the course of a couple of days, and I see this, that. And there's this real pretty boy who's like the assistant to the old grizzled veteran, right? And I'm thinking, he's gonna die. Because the pretty boy always dies, right? And the old grizzled veteran has to watch him die and get depressed. It's just like on Inspector Frost with David Jason, where he had that blonde kid as his assistant for a while, and then he got killed. Remember that?
No, I don't.
We watched that for a while.
I couldn't stand to watch it. He creeped me out because he looked like my stepfather. It creeps me out.
Oh, he was so good in that because he was known for being a comedy actor, and then he does this serious thing where he's...
He looked like Phil.
Oh, Lord. But anyway, so sure enough, the pretty boy gets killed, and I'm like, I knew it!
I did not care about that at all. I never saw the finale of that because I just don't give a shit.
To what?
The death and the conviction and all that, I didn't give a shit.
You skipped an episode?
Honey, I skip all kinds of episodes. Like, if there's a rape thing, I cannot watch it. If dead children occur, I cannot watch it. There's a lot of them. I don't do the whole thing. I turn a lot of them off.
I wish that...
I was so busy doing the sewing and my laundry and stuff while I'm sitting there.
I wish they'd do a realistic cop show, a murder investigation show, where the people are wearing uniforms. I know that's not sexy, but most investigators
can be sexy.
Oh yeah, I know that McDonald's uniform is the hot thing.
Fool.
Well, anyway, but most of these things are actually investigated by beat cops or people in uniforms, about 50 pounds overweight.
The detective that interviewed me that time was not in uniform. He was in...
Really? I have never met a police officer who was plainclothes. Never.
Really?
Yeah.
No, the robberies were all investigated by local cops that were detectives in suits and state GBI. That sort of thing. They were all in suits. That kid detective from the local force I ended up going out with for a bit, he ended up with the FBI.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story related to that. I used to work for a tree surgeon. It's a 3-man crew. I was the guy who picked up the fallen branches and things and fed them into the chipper, and the guy who was the foreman on the crew was in training to be a cop, and my roommate was the guy that went up in the bucket to trim the trees around the power line. Okay, So, the foreman was good buddies with my roommate, and that's how we both got hired to do this. Anyway, he comes over to I've always told this story, saying that he came over in the cop car. But now I think about it, it may not have been true. But anyway, he comes over with all of his gear. He's got the handcuffs and the gun and all this shit, right? He's not in uniform, but he's comes over, and he's worried about this upcoming drug test he's got to take to pass his final thing to get hired. So he's got a great big bag of pot, and he comes over to our apartment and says, look, can you two help me finish this off? I've got to get this gone, but whatever. Anyway, so we go upstairs, and we're passing the joint back and forth at the end of a, what do you call those things? Hemostat? So, it's one of these things. I wasn't a big pot smoker at the time. I wasn't used to it. I'd done it a couple of times before. Anyway, it's one of these situations where they keep passing it around and keep passing it around, and finally you think, I can't inhale anymore. I mean, I just can't breathe properly. So finally, I'm like, oh, that's it for me. No. And I don't know. That was some of the strongest pot I've ever had in my life.
That story's never made any sense to me. If he wants to pass the drug test, why is he taking more drugs?
Because you don't waste pot. You consume it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I'll tell you, one night, my roommate and I were going out, hitting clubs or something, and he used to do coke a lot, and he wanted to get some. So we went over to the cop in training's house, and his roommate sold us a little tiny baggie of coke. And we did some, and then we went to this bar, and
You did coke?
yeah.
I didn't know you did coke.
Yeah, I've done it on 3 different occasions. I never saw the big deal, mainly because I was always so goddamn drunk when I did it that it kind of balanced out. But anyway, so nothing happened at these bars. So we wound up going back to the apartment and doing coke all night long, and just sitting in the living room and talking. We had to go to work the next day doing this 10-hour shift as tree surgeons, and I was worried about not sleeping all night. But then when we got to work, I was like, that's odd. I can work normally. I haven't slept. It's very odd. But when my roommate and I left that apartment, we moved into a duplex further down the road, and our neighbors in the duplex were just these worthless, drug-taking white trash couple. And I was already really drunk one night, and they brought over some coke, and I did it, and it made me sick, and I had to crawl on my hands and knees to the toilet to throw up. I felt bad about that. I felt like I was wasting the chemical refreshment. But anyway, anything to say to add to that? I was a big drinker in the old days, but my real drug preference was pot. It was just, it's connected with me like a key in a lock. But those days are, if not completely over, they are curtailed until I'm an old man.
They're over.
How about that?
They're over.
They're over, huh?
They're over.
Okay.
That last episode, no more. And your daughter will hold you to that.
Well, we'll see about her as she gets older. And
it didn't help any that you had a huge brain tumor at that time and were out of your head otherwise.
I was unconsciously or subconsciously self-medicating.
Yes, you were.
Apparently.
Probably a quarter bag or more a day.
That is bullshit.
those two people, you had a lot.
I don't think you know the measurement terminology quite well. Neither do I really, but I was doing the equivalent of.
Remember the purchases of $100 an ounce.
No, it was no, it was 80. It was 80.
Several times.
Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, it's a depressing topic. It makes me break out in a sweat. Do you remember in Hollywood Shuffle when the big movie star comes to the little hot dog stand and Bobby goes, "And I heard you don't do drugs," and he starts to shake and go, "Oh," and his bodyguard goes, "Hey man, don't mention drugs and don't mention whatever unless you got some." Oh my God, the way that guy acted. I don't know who played him, but he was really good.
We really should watch that again. It was on Prime for a while for free, and you kept saying no, no, no.
I've seen it so many times.
See, I've only seen it a handful of times. Not even a handful, like 2, maybe 3 times. I love it. Those gotta eat too.
Yeah, but when the hot dog stand owner says, "Oh, how it sends chills up and down my spine every time I say that name. Say it with me, Bobby. Winky Dinky Dog." Just the passion with which he loved his restaurant was fantastic.
John Witherspoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know John Witherspoon's best quote came from a different movie, though.
Wait, the only...
It's an Eddie Murphy movie?
Yeah. What was...
Boomerang.
I know, but which quote are you talking about? Whip that pussy.
You didn't marry me for my cooking.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another one. He's the neighbor in House Party who's mad because they're too loud. And he's hanging out the window telling them, turn it down. And these 2 girls come walking up the street towards the party. He goes, "Oh, yes, baby. You do have some nice ones, don't you?" Oh, man. He was really funny. He and David Letterman were good friends.
Now, did he do the KFC joke?
No, Church's Chicken.
Church's Chicken.
He goes, "Yeah, I found out that the KKK owns Church's Chicken. I saw it on 60 Minutes, so it's got to be true." Oh my God.
So, what do you do?
He said, "So next time you're hungry, don't worry about hands across America. It's sheets across America. Go in there and pull your shirt over your head and tell me you're the boss. 9 buckets, please." And then he says, he said it so fast, I can't say it that way, but he says, "And give me some biscuits and some gravy too." And he says it like, "And give me some biscuits and some gravy too." The way he said it, it was so funny.
Now, what was the mushroom thing from Boomerang?
Oh, the inside of his coat and his belt both had a mushroom pattern on it. And he said, "You got to coordinate."
Yeah, but you don't stop there. And he opens up his jacket.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The jacket is lined with mushroom print also.
Yeah.
So it isn't just the belt.
I have...
and the suspenders.
I have no hope for this new coming to America thing. I think it's going to
the first
suck.
One was so good.
Yeah, it was. That's another movie I've seen 300 times. I've seen Boomerang.
Boomerang 300 times.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, the thing I liked about Boomerang was it was the first movie where Eddie Murphy allowed himself to be the butt of a joke. Like when Eric LaSalle throws that milkshake at him and it slops up his chest. He would never have done that in the early days of his career.
Okay, Boomerang. Grace Jones in there. She walks in the restaurant. "I know when a man is gay. You are not gay."
Yeah, he's
gay.
My brother's gay. I know when someone's gay.
How could you refuse this?
She
amazing. And then the commercial.
The commercial is good. It stinks so good.
Nasty Nelson is played by the guy.
If you'll give me a second, I'll think of his name.
And he does the video.
The Holder. It wasn't Jonathan Holder, was it? It was Jeffrey Holder. That was his name.
He was so good.
He was a trained professional dancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the voodoo priest in Live and Let Die.
Catherine Dunham's Strip, was he part of that?
Could be.
Cabin in the Sky and all that stuff.
Cabin in the Sky was a little before his time.
Oh,
Yeah, that's from the 40s.
Right. I'm just thinking Catherine Dunham. Okay.
Which brings up a whole topic that I'd like to get more familiar with, which is back in the 40s and I guess the 30s too, there was a whole separate black film industry and totally separate black theaters, totally separate black movie stars, and it's a totally unexplored
comedy thing that you were telling me about, how these black comedians would have shows, but then they would have under-the-counter sales.
Yeah, they were called Blue Records, and these were they were called Party Records, where maybe Red Fox was part of that, but the precursors of Red Fox would do these naughty. If you've ever heard that Beastie Boys record where they say, if it's going to be this, it's going to be that kind of party, I'm going to stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. That comes from it was one half of the comedy group. It was Manton Morgan, and he's the one who did. I finally heard the whole thing one time, and that line popped out, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's where the Beastie Boys got that from."
Was he the one that had that partner in the movies?
Yes, I can't.
Each other's sentences?
Yeah, I can't remember the name for what they called it, but that is so clever and funny. Somebody ought to bring that back, where they would talk. Alright, sorry, we had a little hiccup. And now, we're in a different context and on the way home. Bonnie, are you awake now?
I am. Chocolate donut said Dr. Pepper.
Oh.
Wide awake. Can't tell you how long it's been since I had donuts. Had Dr. Pepper last week.
I'm worn the hell out. I'm devastated. Everybody out there in YouTube land gets to hear me on the way home today because I'm just zonked. Anyway, trying to think what else there's to say. Anyway, I listened to this Icebreaker compilation on my MP3 player. Icebreaker is a German band. They're like the second biggest band after Rammstein in the Neue Deutsche Härte. And
New German hardness rock.
That's right. It's actually industrial metal, sort of. It's a little more to it than that, especially when Rammstein does it. They do a lot more.
The trill.
Yeah. Like,
Rolling.
I was going to say, Rotafana. Rosenrot. Oh, Rosenrot. Stille Wasser sind nicht still.